My name is Hazel Blears. I'm Member of Parliament for Salford and Eccles, and I'm a former Secretary of State for Communities. During my time, I got to know lots of the people, or some of the people who are on this panel, and many of you in the room today. We're going to hear from everybody on the panel. I think they've all got 10 minutes to keep to their time, hopefully. And then we're going to have a question and answer session. So if we could save our questions to the question and answer session, that would be really, really helpful for us. I've been asked to say that if we could restrict our questions to the topic being discussed and not the personal religious beliefs of any member of the panel. I'm sure I don't need to say that, but I think we want to get to grips with the issues this afternoon. And I wanted to also say thank you to the all-party group for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community who've actually organised and hosted the event this afternoon. As I say, there's a great deal of interest, and I think that we will have some thought-provoking contributions. I just wanted to say that in the time that I had responsibility for some of the policy in this area, it was one of the most challenging, fascinating and rewarding pieces of work that I've ever been involved with, and I've kept my interest certainly in the radicalisation agenda to date. I don't think there's anything more important really than trying to promote the true message of Islam, of peace and tolerance and compassion and understanding, and that very often gets distorted by people who use it for some pretty horrible ends. I know that the Ahmadiyya community in particular have always been a very strong voice for the true meaning of Islam, but also against terrorism, against violence, and have stood up and been brave as a community. And I'm also very aware that the Ahmadiyya community do a huge amount of good work with other communities, and that's so important in terms of integration, being part of our country and part of our values. And I just want to say that you have a very, very proud record, and sometimes your voice is perhaps not heard as loudly as we'd like it to be. So this afternoon is an opportunity, I think, for that to happen.
The subject that has been selected is of great interest to a large number of people in this country and probably abroad. Therefore, it's good to see that we have very eminent speakers here this afternoon and also a number of personalities here. And I'd like to thank all of you. I think one of the things that, one of the reasons why we decided to hold this event was that we are soon going to have the anniversary, the 28th of May, when the attack took place in two mosques in Lahore. A large number of Ahmadis were murdered, martyred, and a large number of them were also injured on that occasion. And the question that was asked by everyone, why is it that we have so much intolerance, and what was the reason, why were these people targeted? In order to understand this, we have to look at the history of Pakistan. Pakistan, when it was initially formed, was formed as a secular state. And the founder of Pakistan wanted it to be a secular state where all the various faiths could live in peace and harmony with each other and enjoy a tolerant society. Unfortunately, politicians being politicians, and with due respect to all the politicians that are here, we had Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who came and decided to change the status quo. He decided, for political reasons, and I must say that to appease the more fundamentalist people, he decided that he would declare the Ahmadis as non-Muslims. And that, unfortunately, was the start of intolerance, firstly towards the Ahmadis, but this never stops in one place. And the latest case was of the Christian lady who, although wasn't guilty, but this unfortunately happens in Pakistan, that people make up false accusations and use the law to try and get conviction. And sometimes they have other reasons for that, and a lot of time it is regarding dealing with personal issues and trying to resolve personal issues by using the legislation. Now, a very brave man who stood up his daughter is with us this afternoon, actually paid with his life, which is tragic. And it shows the intolerance. His own bodyguard eventually took his life. One of the big things that we value is freedom of speech. But there has to be a limit, especially when people incite other people towards violence and hatred. I think that is where the freedom of speech has to come to an end. And I think this is something, the last APPG meeting that we had, we actually had representation from Ofcom, who assured us that they will be dealing with some of these issues. And I'm certain that hopefully we will be able to bring this to an end, at least in this country. So I think it is only through love and understanding and prayer that we will be able to bring about change in this country. Now, I have a message from His Holiness, which I would like to read to you, if I may. And it says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon you. Right Honourable Hazel Brays, Member of Parliament, Honourable Members of Parliament, noble members of the House of Lords, distinguished speakers and honoured guests, can I firstly thank you for convening this policy debate on the rise of extremism internationally and in its impact on Britain. I am also deeply conscious of the fact that today's debate is nearly a year after the 86 Ahmadis attending Friday prayers were killed in 2 mosques in Lahore. However, the message to my community then and now remains that we shall forbear this loss steadfastly with patience and prayers for those who choose to be our enemies and deny our rights. Come what may, we shall not take the law into our own hands. Patience is an extremely important virtue because God Almighty, our Creator, has stated that He loves those who show patience. Normally, the world considers patience to be a cowardly thing, but the exercise of patience is a great asset in the making of peace. Whenever our community is caused emotional sufferings or pain, we exhibit patience and tolerance. When we are deprived of our due rights as citizens, we display patience and tolerance. When financial harm is purposely inflicted upon us, we display patience and tolerance. When our properties and possessions are looted or destroyed, we display patience and tolerance. When our lives are taken, we display patience and tolerance. In Pakistan, we are forbidden by law from practicing our religion, but despite this, we do not create disorder. We bore the tragedy of May last year with patience. The Holy Quran states, there shall be no compulsion in religion. And this is the beautiful teaching that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community tries to act upon. Religion is a personal matter between God and man, and forces play no role in it. Force, power, severity can erect walls of hatred and cannot win hearts. This attitude can briefly be explained as love for all, hatred for none. Unfortunately, there are Muslims who believe that the solution to all the problems lies in adopting cruel and barbaric attitude. According to some non-Muslims, therefore, there is no concept of tolerance and reconciliation or love and affection in Islam. Non-Muslims draw this conclusion based on an incorrect behavior and improper action of the so-called jihadi organizations. That is to say, those who are trigger-happy and call this a holy war. And the attacks of their suicide bombers. Then some scholars of today unfortunately express support for such jihadi organizations, even though their actions are totally opposed to the teaching of Islam. On wider reflection, we can see that the trend cannot conform to the teachings of one's faith and is prevalent amongst followers of all religions. When such cruelties and double standards prevail, a reformer is required to guide people to the true peaceful teachings of God. The founder of our community, Hadhrat Mirza Ahmad, who claimed that he was the reformer of this age and sent by God, stated, "I have not appeared to stroke our battlefield for war and conflict, but have appeared like the earlier Messiah, so we can open ways for peace and harmony. If the objective of peace and reconciliation is not amongst us, then this movement is futile, and to believe in it is useless. So peacemaking is the cornerstone of our belief, and we will work tirelessly with all good-natured people for this noble goal. In another place, the promised reformer says, God has sent me as the promised Messiah and has clothed me with the garments of Messiah, the Son of Mary. I therefore admonish you, shun evil and be truly kind towards mankind. Cleanse your hearts of malice and spite, as this habit will make you like angels. What the filthy and unholy religion, is it that it is devoid of sympathy for human beings? And how polluted is the path that is riddled with the thorns of rancor based upon selfish desire? O ye who are with me, do not become like such people. For the sake of God, be kind towards all, so that you may be shown mercy in the heaven. Come and I will teach you a way that will cause your light to prevail over all other lights. Abandon all low spite and jealousy, and be compassionate to mankind, and lose yourselves in God. While being with God, attain the highest level of purification, for that is the path on which miracles are bestowed, prayers are accepted, and angels descend on one's aid. But not a one-day task. Advance and continue to progress. Islam does not teach Muslims to behave like thieves and bandits, or to use jihad as an excuse to satisfy their most inner desire. It seems that the God in heaven wishes that the wars and conflicts should come to an end, and the ways of reconciliation and mutual affection, love should be opened. If there is any truth in a faith, it should be displayed, and one should not continue to recite the deficiencies of other faiths. Finally, I wish to thank all of you who come to participate in today's program and share your views and show your good feelings about us. May God bless you. Once again, thank you, Mirza Tahir Ahmad, the international head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Thank you.
I'm here today because my family has suffered directly due to the prevalence of this ideology, murder in the name of God and religion. I am the daughter of the former governor of Punjab, Salman Tahsil, who was assassinated earlier this year by his bodyguard for his stance on Pakistan's draconian blasphemy laws. Last year in November, an illiterate Christian woman, Asya Noreen, was sentenced to death in a tiny village outside my hometown, Lahore, for allegedly committing blasphemy. And my father took my mother and I along with him to visit her in jail and to get her thumb impression on a mercy petition seeking pardon from our president, Asif Ali Zardari. My father held a press conference later that day, and he gave many interviews in which he said that this person, like the thousands before her, had been unfairly accused of blasphemy. And he said that Pakistan's blasphemy laws are vague and open-ended, and as a result, they're being misused far too often to settle personal vendettas and land disputes, and they required an amendment to prevent this from happening. My father had stood up for a voiceless woman who had been wasting away in jail for over a year, and for this he was declared a blasphemer and marked for violence. Then on January 4th, 2011, my brother Shariar's 25th birthday, a member of my father's security team, Mumtaz Qadri, casually strolled up behind him and shot him 27 times until he died. According to the autopsy report that I read, each one of my father's vital organs was punctured by the hail of bullets, except for his heart and